Hey, nice. Everything's ready. Let me grab my Stream Elements feed and then we can go right into it. Okay. So, today, I hope first, of course, I hope you had a great day so far. I don't know how late it is for you. I hope you had a great day so far. My day was uneventful, like the last few days, but that doesn't mean that it was bad, so that's good. Yeah, today we're just gonna work on the main project. Maybe we can, I don't think we can finish it today, but we can at least go pretty far today. Maybe, I think we can finish it tomorrow. Tomorrow we should be able to finish it. So, which means, of course, first half an hour, we're gonna do our quick sketch. Then we're gonna go over to the main project, and I noted some topics I want to talk about that I not only talk about what you see on screen, but I also want to basically practice talking about topics that are not part of the current stream. So basically what I'm doing. What I mean is I want to have a topic I want to talk about, maybe like half an hour or so, just to first learn to talk about stuff, and while doing that, concentrating also on working on my current project. And also maybe I use these topics as YouTube videos. I don't know yet. Maybe. I think that just makes it more interesting to listen. And also, like, for example, if I just say, okay, now I work on these main shapes, as I said multiple times now, I don't think that's really interesting to listen to every stream. So I thought I would probably look for a topic we could talk about every stream, so you're not just listening to me ramble about what I'm doing right now, and which is basically pretty repetitive, so there's not much to learn from it. If I would, for example, do something like a new technique or something, I would probably show that off or talk about it, but I think it's better to have like a topic you can talk about than just ramble about whatever. I think that's better. So today's topic is gonna be what was it? I have a few topics. The one I wanted to talk about today was getting inspiration, or having like an inspirational block, or not knowing what to create, not knowing what, or having no inspiration, and how you may be able to overcome that, or maybe even avoid it overall. So of course, first we're gonna go in here and make our 30-minute sketch. I also thought maybe I'll switch. I was inspired by Beeple. Maybe you know him, maybe not. He's a very famous 3D artist who did, or who still does, daily 3D sketches, basically how I do them. I think 30 minutes or more, and he posts a picture, a fully realized image every day since like for multiple years now. He has like 13 years or so he's been doing that, and I got kind of inspired by it, and also watching some videos about how he makes them, what makes them look so interesting, and how you can make these things in a pretty short amount of time. So I will probably make those daily. Of course, I will not stream daily and make those on stream, all of them, but I will probably try to make one of those images daily. I also thought about switching the way I start my sketches, because right now I just get a random 3D scanned asset and work with that. Maybe I'll think about switching that up to just go with whatever I want at that time. So if I have some inspiration, I can still do that and don't have to like somehow put that asset in there as well. So let's grab our 3D asset and then we can go start our quick sketch. So let's see the random number generator. Let's see what we get. Let's see. Let's generate 1 out of 30. Which one is it gonna be? I say 18. 17, dude. Okay, almost. If you didn't see it yesterday, I speedran Minecraft in Blender. I improved my PB by, I think, more than 20 seconds. My new PB is 57 seconds. My previous PB was at, what was it? It was at 1 minute 23 seconds. That was it. Yep. Now it's 57 seconds. I improved my strats, I learned more hotkeys, and now it's super optimized. Of course, there's still stuff you can improve, but so far, I don't think I'm gonna do it again. It's just like a fun little thing I want to do every week. One object I want to speed run basically in Blender. And the first one was the grass cube or grass block from Minecraft. Okay, let's grab the number 17. 19. Hurricane. Ooh, hello. Okay, we might even be able to use that for a pretty abstract piece. Let's see. Displacement map even. Ooh, we have a displacement map. Ambient occlusion. That's nice. Okay. Color as well. Okay. Well, then let's put that in here. Import it. And here as an OBJ. Let's see. Should be somewhere. Not this one. We need the hurricane right there. Source, and there it is. Of course, using the good old Stream Beats playlist from Harris Heller. Once again, please Blender, don't crash. Please just import this. Probably just takes a while because it's so big. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's the hurricane viewed from the top. There you can see it. So let's see. Do we even need the displacement map if we have this already like displaced? Let's see what it looks like in material preview first. Oh, okay. I wonder if the real, let's see, what is plugged in right now? Only the color. No, what is that? Is that the ambient occlusion? I think is plugged in. The displacement map. Okay, that's not supposed to be there. Let's see. We can use that. Let's see how it looks if we plug that in here. Displacement maps are usually used for displacing objects, of course, but if you plug them in as a map in the node editor, you don't have to change the geometry. The geometry gets changed by the map itself. It's similar to a bump map. The difference is that the displacement map actually changes the geometry in the rendered view. For example, the bump map only imitates a different structure, but the displacement map actually lets it look like it's displaced. It displaces it actually, but only in the rendered view. If you look at it in solid view, it won't be displaced. We need the displacement map, I mean displacement node, put that in the height socket. Displacement, let's see. Rendered. Do we see a difference without it? Of course, we have to enable the displacement in the settings. Bump only, switch that to displacement and bump. Ooh. Well, it did something. But I think it just destroyed the whole... Let's see if we go back and go in again. Look at this, it's just like... It pulverized all of it. But, I mean, maybe that's supposed to happen, but I don't think so. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's like transparent now. But why? Well, let's maybe not do that then. Let's just remove that and we work with this. So we don't need that. We can remove that and we're gonna work with, let's see, we need, what do we have? We have the ambient occlusion. We can use that right there. We have the displacement map. We don't need that. We have the color. We also have a normal map. Do we need the normal map? I don't think so. And we have a specular map. Okay. So, nice. Ambient occlusion is basically when you have two objects that are very close to each other. The space between these two gets gets darker, even though light shines in the general direction of these two objects or that space. And that's because the light bounces so much between them that the light just fades out over time. And so the small space between these objects gets just a little bit darker. That's basically what the ambient occlusion is. So now we use that by going into color mix RGB, and I think it's multiply if I remember correctly. So now if we go in here, plug that in there, we can see how that looks. That's the color. That's the base color. And now if we plug that in there and say multiply by 1, it should give it some more. Let's see it without it. You can see it just adds a little bit of darkness to it. Not only in there, but also you should see it between these crevices as well. Or these clouds, because it's a tornado. Okay. Okay. So we have that. We can switch that so it's not like tangled between each other. We have a specular map, so we can plug that into the specular socket. And that should just give it a specific specularity, which is basically the intensity at which the light will be thrown back if it's reflective. We could maybe even put that into the roughness. Let's see. What does it even look like? Okay, so everything in here is pretty shiny, and everything out there in gray and all that is going to be less shiny. So, okay. So if you plug that in there now, we have a nice tornado map. Okay, but I think I'm not gonna work with the original color. I'm still gonna keep it in there. I'm gonna change the color though. So let's pull that back there. I'm not gonna start yet. I'm just gonna plug in all the maps we might use or we can use. Any textures anymore? Nope. Okay. So we're ready. What I'll do, of course, is start my timer and then we'll start our 30-minute quick sketch. So, timer's ready. 30 minutes in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I have a pretty cool idea for this one. Let's remove this first. We don't need the world lighting. Right now it's gray. That still shines light onto the object. That's why you see it. I just removed that. And now I go in here, go into the object itself. We can change the color and also change the material. We don't need the specularity actually. So remove that. We select it. We may not even need the ambient occlusion. We just need the color because I want to use the emission shader. Come on, give me the emission shader. Plug that in there, plug that in there. And it's white. Wait, oh wait, deleted the wrong one. Damn. Okay, let's just pull that in again and then we can work with this. So, pull that in real quick. Is my counter going? Yep, it is. Source the color, plug that in there or get it in there. Plug it in, plug that in. And it's glowing. Nice, okay. So, first thing I'll do, I have a new trick that I want to try, which is, do we have a camera? We do. If I now, where's the camera? I can see it. It's somewhere over there, I think. Is it? See? Let's grab my placement down there. There it is. Okay, so what we can do is grab a axis, an empty basically. It's down there. Now we can say we want to track that. I did that before, but I think I'm going to normalize that. So what I mean by that is I'm going to put that into my standard scene just because it's so useful. Because now, if you look into the camera down there, if you now, you can just set a focus point now, for example, the middle of the hole, like that. And then you can use your camera and just move around it and pick a nice angle that you want without having to moving the camera individually on every single axis. And it's just easier to position it that way. So let's see. What I wanted to do is make this more like the background, and also let's go in here, go in edit mode. Oh my god, grab that down there, maybe a few more like that, just the tornado itself, and we pull that down using the sharp proportional editing. Let's hope it works. There are so many vertices that it's pretty bad in terms of performance. Okay, maybe even bigger. That may be too much. Okay, let's see that in rendered view. Okay, now what we can do is change. No, let's not change the color now. We can do something else first. Let's do the composition first. Composition meaning we're gonna rotate this on the z-axis. So it's looking more like this. Go closer. We say this, the focus is more on the side, like that. Maybe even go back a little bit. And pull that some more to the side like that. Okay, now we can go in here and we're gonna put some stuff in the foreground. I think I'm gonna actually put this a little bit more downwards so it's more in the top right corner. Like that. And now maybe I think it can stay like that. So now, okay, I want to have this as my background. So what I'm gonna do now, actually, should I put that in my, I'm gonna use that as my focus. So I'm gonna put that just in the middle, move my camera somewhere else. Further back, like that. We can, so we don't see this edge right there, we can go in here and just pull it up. We just grab somewhere that right there. Select the smooth option and pull it up. It takes a while, but it's working. Oh, there it is. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. A little bit more. Come on. Come on. Come on. Pull it. Pull it up. Almost. Come on. I don't have that much time, dude. I mean, it should be good like that, so I'll just leave it. Okay. Now, we can change the color. So we'll grab our good old color ramp, put that in there. Now it's black and white. And, oh, I have an idea. Let's make it more dramatic. So I want to have more gray in there. Just a little bit of white in the middle. Okay. Even more maybe, like that. That looks good. Because now we can maybe switch that back from emission to a good old principled BSDF. Not principled volume, but a principled BSDF. The Swiss Army knife of shaders. And we then go in here and grab a cylinder, make it smaller, put it more in the center, make it even smaller, and then pull it up. Nope. Scale it up. Like that. Okay. Oh, it's too high, so we pull it down again. Like that. And now we can change this material. Let's switch back to rendered view. We're gonna go in here, go remove this, and this one's gonna have a emission. Like that. We're also gonna use a mix shader and use a transparency in there. And I'm gonna use a Fresnel shader. I mean Fresnel input. Now if I put that higher, maybe to 2 or 3, and we can work with this. Maybe we don't use Fresnel, we use layer weight. I'll show you what it does. You can see it's brighter on the outside than in the middle. So what you can do with this, if we smooth that, you can make the outside glow and the inside is more transparent. That's what I'm going for right now. Which means we use another color ramp, put that in there, and pull the blacks higher, like that. That looks good. We plug that into the factor, plug that in. Transparent is still the correct one. Do we need more? Wait, is transparent even working? What is happening? Now it's gone. Now it's not. Okay. Oh, what we can do is to imitate the same look, we can just use a principled volume, plug that in there. Come on. Make the density lower. Also put the emission strength first to 1 maybe. Hello? Oh, I plugged it in the wrong input. Now we can increase we can change the color to something more dramatic. Of course, emission color, not the other one. Like that maybe, or a nice green. Let's use a nice bright blue. Like that. We can change the strength to something more intense. Even higher, like that. Now we can change the density. That should reduce the light strength, I think. So if you put that maybe to 0.01. Oh, it actually doesn't. I think if you have a glowing, like this pillar glowing, it doesn't really affect the transparency. Maybe even 0.001. Okay, well that's just nothing. So let's just keep that let's leave that at 1. And we're gonna work with this some more. So what we'll do is go to roughness, put that higher. We're gonna use this input, maybe make a custom one. Plug that in there. Let's see it. Okay. And we're gonna plug that into the roughness, but we're gonna invert it. So that way, you can see right now the black parts are shiny, but we want to have the opposite. So we use a color invert, plug that in there, and now the whites should be reflective. Also, we could put that into the specular. That should help. And one more thing we can add, or a few things we can add actually, is, let's see, can we make this even brighter? Or we can just add a few more lights so it's brighter. You can do the same that I did with this camera and this focus point with lights. I'm not going to do that because I think that's going to take too long. 18 minutes left, so we have quite a bit of time. So we can focus some more on the details. Put that maybe over here, rotate it like that, and give it a different color. We could use a picture, but I think I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Maybe a dark purple. Like that. Let's see, can we increase the strength some more? Maybe to a nice 20. Okay. Also, let's include the mist pass. And save it first, just so we're safe. Which one is it? Quick sketch number 13. Where's my folder? Wait, what? Oh, nope. Dude, I made a new folder, but it's gone. Let's just make a new one. There it is. Quick sketch 13. Go in there. Save that. Quick sketch 13. Save it. And we can keep going. So what I'll do is go in here. Let's see, the black parts are, so what does it look like? Oh, it's pretty, okay, we need to increase the, wait, what? Ah. Okay. That's what I wanted. The black parts are these shiny bits. So now if you plug that in, it should be more reflective. And okay, I think it's not as reflective because it's pretty bumpy. So it's still throwing the... Let's see, what happens if we just remove that? It's still throwing all the light rays around. That looks weird. So let's not do that. Put that in there, specularity. We can put that higher, just like that. Okay. Now what we can do is put some more interesting stuff into the scene, maybe increase the strength. Oh, that's too much. Like that, maybe. Also, maybe add a few just here. Some nice light sources. Like that. Just scattered all over the image. Make them maybe smaller. Like that. Are we in the correct? Yeah, we're in cycles. Okay. Like that. And make them a different color, maybe a nice purple again, or a nice white actually. Let's keep it at white. Now we can do the same, put them somewhere else, duplicate it, and maybe put it in this nice crease right there. Maybe increase the strength. That's pretty, you can't really see it. Okay, let's add a few more. Maybe over there, another one over there. And we added some interesting spots into the scene. Okay. We could maybe change this pillar some more. What we could do is go in here. 14 minutes left, perfect. We can add a... Let's see, no, density doesn't really work. Emission strength, let's see. Texture, use a noise texture. Plug that into the strength. Also, use a converter color ramp. And now we can work on this texture. What I'll do is I'll use a mapping node, put that to object. Now it shouldn't be too stretched. Let's see. Okay, it's still stretched, so we can scale it on the z-axis. Change the scale. Okay, that looks good. Now we go back, plug that in. Let's see. Not too much, just a tiny bit. Just adding some structure into the beam of light. Of course, we have to still increase the strength. Right now it's a maximum of 1. So we need a math node. Put that in there, put that to multiply, maybe to 10. That looks pretty good. Let's see, we could also add... Let's see, we could add something interesting, like just a sphere. Not that interesting in itself, but we can change that. Put that to smooth. Activate that so it stays above surface. Maybe make it smaller. Change that to a chrome shader. We can do that by putting metallic fully to 1, specularity full, roughness 0, and now it's a chrome cube, or I mean a chrome sphere. Maybe we can put it somewhere else. Right over there, for example. Plug it over there as well. Okay. Oh. Okay, we could also... Let's see. Let's see if we could... If that helps, if we add a cube for noise. I mean, not for noise, but for dust and all that. Put that over there, make it to bound so we can see into the cube. Nice. We can now give it a volume shader. Remove this one. Add a principal volume. Plug that into the volume. Change it to a density of 0.1 maybe. And it adds just way more atmospheric like more atmosphere to the whole image. Maybe we need more intensity, so we can change that to 20 maybe. Let's put that to 100. Oh, that's pretty crazy. Maybe change this. Actually, let's see, we can maybe decrease the density a little bit more, maybe 0.075. And then we add a light down there, a spotlight that shines upwards. So we rotate it by 180 degrees, put it down there into the hole. the pit of death, or light rather. We go in here, change the size. Let's see, we could maybe copy the location from this one. It just hovering over the coordinates and then copying it while hovering you can just copy those. You don't have to click into the value. There you go. And now you can, that's too much. Let's leave it like that. Now we can increase the intensity maybe to 100 first. Just to see if there's anything that it actually does. Maybe we need more. 1000. I don't think that's gonna work. Well, let's just remove it again. Okay. Pretty noisy, so it's pretty hard to see what is actually going on. But if we do it without it, it's gonna look pretty boring. I mean, it looks pretty good as well like that, but I think just adding this noise will just add a little bit more of this atmospheric effect. We could also do it in post. I think we're just gonna do it in post, that's easier. Let's see, we could add some more stuff. For example, actually, I mean, well, let's see. There's something I can add. I think I know what I can add. Put that over there maybe. Like there, we can add another maybe cylinder. Oh, hello. Scale it down. Rotate it. Scale it on the Z-axis. Like that. Go in here. Give it a material. Maybe chrome, maybe not. Let's see. That looks weird, so we're not going to use chrome. Maybe we could use the emissive material. Okay. Wait, what? Where's the material? That's the one I use for the beam. We can separate these two and make this one a different color. Maybe make a pinkish color. Like that. What we could also do is just going into this plane. We need another. Let's just smooth out everything. Maybe even this. Oh. No, it's not needed. So, we are gonna add a cylinder. Pull that over here. Go in here. Say particle. 6 minutes left. Should be good. Particle system. Save it, just to be sure. Go in here. Change the end time to 1, so all of them are in there at once. And now we say render as object. And we want to render as this object. Okay. Ooh. We can then change the scale. Let's go back to this view. So it's easier to see. I mean, it's still lagging, but it's not too bad. What we can do now, we can say rotation, put that to the global Z. Nope. Let's put that to the object Z. That doesn't change anything. Y. Nope. X. What happens if we rotate this? Nothing. If we rotate it in edit mode. Aha. And there you go. Okay. Now we can go in here and say, for example, randomness, put that higher, maybe to 0.5. And we can increase that maybe to 0.2. That's too much. Actually, if we increase that to 1, we can then say we have less objects, maybe like just 100. That's not enough, maybe 500. Okay, let's change the seed, maybe we get some interesting results. Oh, that was pretty good. Let's use this one. Let's see what it looks like in rendered view. Save it. Oh, okay. We can then go in here, change the material. Oh no, I used the wrong one. What does the chrome look like? That looks pretty weird. We're not going to use chrome for this one. We're going to make a new material. Use a new principled BCF. Plug that in. Now they're white. And we can change maybe the roughness to something more rough. Specularity. We don't need that much specularity. And we change the color. Let's see, what do you want to do? We can change the color. Let's just see what happens if we change it to different colors. Maybe one of them looks good. We could also just leave it at white. Maybe like a... Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's just leave it at white for now. And we can see what it looks like with this mist. I mean, it adds so much noise that I don't know if it's worth it. Because in the end, you can just put, like, give it some more mist by adding some compositing nodes. So I don't know if that's really necessary. Let's not work with that for now. I also learned a few new tricks in the post-processing part. I can show you then. Yeah, I mean, there are more I could add, or I would want to add. Maybe another ball somewhere in the front. Right here, for example. Maybe make it bigger. Like that. Okay. We could also maybe change the positioning of the focus. Put it more in the top right corner. Like that. Now we don't see this beam, but that's not really that bad. Okay, that should be good. Let's see what it looks like in full camera view. Change the perspective to a 100%. Okay. Do we want to have a HDRI? No, let's not do that. So, okay. One thing that's missing is the focus. So what I'll do is just say, go in here, make another empty, call that focus. And we go into our camera and say, where is it? Let's make this one smaller as well. Like that, okay. Go in here. We have 30 seconds left, so we go in here, go away. Depth of field, enable that, go to focus. And now we have some depth of field, maybe make it smaller. 1.5. Okay. Maybe change the Yeah, like that maybe. Okay. That's it. That's gonna be our 30-minute sketch. Save that, and then we can go over to our post-processing. So we can go over here. That's good. We switch to the compositor, remove this, go in here, also enable mispass, normal pass, denoising data. Also, we need the output of an EXR, and we can switch the resolution to 50% for now. Denoising data is, sampling is good. Save it one more time. Render it. Let's switch to the render result. Still working on it. Almost done. And I think that's done. Yep. Okay, pretty noisy. Pretty noisy. I think I forgot to disable my mist cube. But well, now we have to work with that. So first things first, filter, denoise, put that in there. Use the denoising normal and denoising albedo. Okay. Now, what we'll do first is increase the saturation, because it's pretty... Actually, let's do the glare filter first. Oh. That looks pretty good, but I think we need only like maybe one. Let's work with two. Like that. Maybe change the angle. Okay. Add some fog glow in there as well. Okay, now it's looking way more interesting and intense. Also, what we can add is... Let's see the mist pass. What does that look like? We can't see it. Why not? We have to plug it into the render result. Okay. Can we work with this? Maybe if we use a color RGB curves, plug it in there, image into image, like that. Now we can go in here. Okay, maybe like that. Okay, now we can use this. So we can plug that in there again. And we can, for example, go in here, use a saturation. What happens if we plug that in there? Oh. Wait, what? Okay, so we... let's not use it on the saturation. We could use it for something else, which is... Let's make these settings more drastic. Like that. We have to invert that. Invert. Ooh. Okay, and now we can use a filter bokeh blur. Let's see if that works. Image in there. like that. We then can also... Oh, wait, what? What I wanted to do is use this mask basically and say everywhere where there's white, we can use the bokeh blur, and everywhere where there's no white, we use no bokeh blur. But I think that's not gonna work. Well, or at least it can work, but I don't want to like play around too much. So let's not do that. What we can do though is go into saturation and maybe put that to 1.2. That's too much. 1.1. Also use a contrast node. Put the contrast to 1 maybe. Ooh, okay. Could we... What else? We could use a vector, no, distortion, lens distortion, of course. Let's see what that looks like at maybe 0.2. That's too much, maybe just 0.1. Okay, yeah, I think that's all we're gonna do for this one. So let's save it, render it in full size, 100%. Save it one more time. We could maybe even increase the... Let's not do that. Let's just render it to see the final image, and then we'll go over to the main project. I think I'll finish the main project in, as I said before, either probably tomorrow. If not, I will probably work on it on Friday, maybe. And I also should have more time on the weekend, so maybe I'll stream there as well. Maybe I'll work on my videos I have planned, or if I get them done pretty quickly, I will stream some more. So let's see what that looks like in full glory. Once that's done, you can see it, right? Can you see it? Oh, you can. Okay, let's zoom out. Okay. Let's see. Show it to me. It's not like the best work. Doesn't really look that good, but it's also not like too bad. It's always... I mean, these light show like images are always interesting to look at, so it's not too bad. But you could definitely improve this. But well, that's just the nature of a 30-minute sketch. Put that in there, save it, and then we can move over. Quick sketch 13. Save it, and we switch over. So open recent, character 2. There it is. I will also probably want to make a video about making plants like this using hair particles. Pretty easy, pretty simple, pretty intuitive. And I haven't really seen any videos about it on YouTube, so I'll probably do that at some point. Not today, maybe tomorrow. Today I want to focus on this. Working on this. So I think everything's ready. Let's see. Switch that to the 3D viewport and just look at it first to see what the last... Okay. What we're gonna do first. Actually, let's restart this recording because I don't want to destroy everything and lose my recording from my PC crashing or something. So now, let's go and start. First thing, of course, today's topic. So, today I want to talk about the phenomenon that artists sometimes run into, which is the like creative block, some call it, and how you could maybe avoid it, how you could prevent it, and also how you could just learn to live with it and learn to maybe not have it, but still be able to do something creative while not really having any inspiration or knowing what you want to do. So in my experience, at least, creative block is like your brain or you just having no inspiration at that point, and then you maybe don't even have, like, you get unmotivated because you have nothing you want to do, and you just say, okay, let's screw it, I'm gonna work on something tomorrow. But then maybe tomorrow you say to yourself, dude, I have nothing I want to do, and I don't want to do anything creative right now. Or at least I want to do something, but then you sit down and think to yourself, dude, I have nothing I can come up with that I want to make. So I had that at some point. It wasn't so often, but sometimes that just happens. And for me, I had that like a long time ago. It was like, it's pretty rare for me. I don't know how often it is for other people, but what I usually do to avoid it is I, for example, always every day look at Pinterest. I have my own collections there where I can save some images. And for me, how I think of it, of like art block or creative block or like no inspiration, is it's like a muscle, and at least the way you can deal with it is like a muscle. So what I mean by that is, maybe at the current time you don't really have anything you want to do, but if you force yourself, maybe not force yourself to create something, just throwing in there something, that could work as well. Just going into the program, for example, I use Blender, or going into Photoshop, for example, if you do digital drawings, and then just starting with something can sometimes give you inspiration. As I said before, you can go into stuff like, for example, Pinterest, look into some images right there. And Pinterest is the main source for me for inspiration. I usually always find one or two things a day that I at some point want to recreate. For example, I really love recreating stuff, or just getting ideas of character designs, or like structure designs, just like composition itself, and all that you can get by just browsing different sites like Pinterest, Instagram, and all that. Just looking through your favorite artists, for example, can really help you find some inspiration. And I think how it works for me, at least, is it's, as I said before, like a muscle. What I mean by that is, if you don't really like learn how to get inspiration, or you learn about it and you don't really have an idea how you can always get inspired by something, or how you can inspire yourself, it's very easy to just get into this block phase where you just think, dude, I have nothing I want to do right now, and nothing I can really come up with. I just do nothing, for example. The best thing is just to sit yourself down and either just look at a canvas, and at some point your mind may drift and you think about something else, maybe some old experience you had or something, and that can maybe even spark a new idea in you, and just let your mind drift and think about all the stuff you want to think about, and maybe at some point you have something you want to actually create. And what I mean is, sometimes you just sometimes you just force yourself to do stuff, and as you know, sometimes forcing, for example, your brain to do something specific doesn't work. And that's the same for stuff like creative stuff. And just letting your brain do what it wants, and just letting it, for example, think about the stuff you want to think about, can really help you, and is really your enemy in terms of getting inspiration. And going back to the whole muscle part, the more you just sit down and just do or learn to actually overcome this creative block, the better you're gonna manage it the next time. So for example, if the first day you have like your creative block, think to yourself, dude, I have nothing I want to do, and you leave your mind just on its own and it does what it does, you then at some point maybe see that a specific, I don't know, book or a specific game, for example, is a nice inspiration for you. And just so then you finish a project, although you first had a block, for example, and you at some point get inspired, you finish it, and then you just learn over a few more times of doing that different ways of getting inspiration, you learn them, for example. What I mean is, just the same way you learn how to learn, for example, your own way. There are different types of learning for different people. Some people like learning visually. Some people love it to learn just by writing everything down. Some people just like to talk about it on their own, and just learning how to get inspired is, I think, one of the most valuable things you can do for you as an artist. Because if you learn how to get inspired on your own, you can almost always find some inspiration you can either learn from or like get inspired from. You can also, just by browsing the internet, for example Pinterest or something, as I said before, just learn which sites are really useful for you. You can build up a collection of stuff you wanna, or you can use to get inspired, and just having this collection and learning how you get inspired is really useful for yourself, because then you can avoid these blocks that just gets you unmotivated and maybe even annoyed, and just not getting frustrated by it, but embracing it and actually just living with it and learning about it and just thinking about it. Maybe even at some point you just have a big repertoire of stuff you can come back to and think to yourself, dude, I have nothing to draw or to model, for example, but I know how I can get inspired. And so you just at some point can just go back to these sources and just look through them and get an inspiration almost always. That's what I do. I, for example, as I said before, have my Pinterest collection, also Instagram. I bookmark some of the images I see. And then, for example, for this character right here, I just at some point looked through Pinterest and saw this image. Let me pull it up real quick. This one right there. And I said to myself, dude, I want to recreate this in 3D. Let's see what it looks like in 3D. So I just saved it, and now I'm working on it. And yeah, I have like a few more sessions before I finish this piece, and then once that's done, I have another collection, or still I can just look into my collection and see what I like, and then work on another piece. This way I just have a constant stream of new inspirations, new ideas that I wanna do. and I never really run out of ideas or inspiration. And I think that's one of the key parts of not running into a creative block. Of course, if you always have inspiration, you can just always make stuff, and you always want to make stuff. One of the key parts is then also, of course, I mean, it is, of course, having like a nice back catalog of just stuff you maybe want to do at some point. What you can also do, wait, I lost my train of thought. let me work on this real quick so I can finish this material. Pretty hard just talking and then doing this at the same time. We need a normal map, not this one. Normal map. So okay, we have to plug that in there. Without it? With it. Okay, nice. What we could also do... no, let's not do that. Okay. Save it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really had like a creative block myself. Maybe just I was like not motivated at some point, but I never really had a phase where I just sat down and had nothing. Well, maybe that's not true, but it isn't as often for me. And I think that's just because I have this catalog of stuff that I at some point thought to myself, dude, that looks interesting. I want to do that, recreate that. For me, it's just recreating. For other people, it may be just inspiration in terms of compositing or lighting or just ideas in general. And yeah, I think if you always think about what you want to do, for example, if you're at work and you think about, dude, what I want to do, what do I want to do today? And then your mind just thinks about that stuff, and at some point you're gonna come up with something you want to do. Or you can just, as I said before, look through some stuff like websites and all that, and just look for a nice resource of inspiration. Roughness, we need that. And there you go. Okay, now the muddy parts are rougher than the leaves. I mean, not rougher, but more shiny. Do we have a specularity? We do. Just grab that. I think next time, for the next talk, I'll prepare some points, some talking points or some ideas about the topic I want to talk about, because I think that's easier for me to then not having to come up with the points, yeah, like at the spot, on the spot. Just doing that while working on this at the same time can be quite challenging. So next time, tomorrow, I think I'm gonna prepare some key points, so I actually have like something to come back to if I don't know what I want to do or talk about. Let's grab these stones, look pretty good. We're actually gonna add, I think, some grass as well. Let's color these now. Wait, is that... No, we need to go here. Make a new color. Material. Make it pretty rough. Make it more gray. Maybe even a little bit brown. Like that. Yeah, it just... I think like this art block or this creative block, inspirational block, whatever you want to call it, one of these things that once you know how to deal with it, you can just, if you have like a strategy to work with it or to get around it, you basically can always find something to do. Also, one thing that may actually help really like pretty good, or is what could be pretty effective, is not only working on one project at once, but having multiple ones. So that way, for example, if you're getting bored by just working on the same project over and over and over again every day, because it's so big and your ambitions or your ideas are so big, you can very easily get either burned out, or you just look forward and see how much you still have to do and you just get discouraged. To avoid that, you can, for example, have multiple projects that you're working on. This way you can work on one of those, and then at some point, if you're getting, for example, bored or it's getting stale working on the same project all the time, you can switch to a different one, work on that, and then if you think that, or if you complete that, if you're done with that, you can go back to your main project and work on that some more. Also, if you have multiple projects, especially if you mix small ones with big ones, and compared to only having one big project, a nice benefit is that having multiple projects lets you have like these small victories more often than working on a big project. For example, I oftentimes just work on a big project and I think to myself, dude, it takes a long time, but once this is done, it's gonna feel so good. And then I finish the project, and I mean, it's still great that I finished it, but somehow it's not as fulfilling as you might think in the beginning. And so you just start the next one, and you haven't really gotten that much out of it in terms of satisfaction, because you go right into the next one. And one way the multiple projects help are, for example, if you have small ones, you can finish those in maybe 1 or 2 sessions or even hours, just small projects that you can finish in a quick amount of time or small amount of time. You have these small victories every day or every session. That way, you not only have this long project and you wait and you wait and you wait, and at some point you finish it and you're elated and you can say to yourself, finally I'm done, but you're not really like that happy about it. Maybe if you, for example, post it on Instagram or something and your friends say, dude, that's a great stuff, good work, you maybe get some more validation and some more out of it. But I think if you have smaller projects added into the big one, switching between those not only helps you get over the staleness of just one project, but also it helps with just staying motivated. Because first of all, maybe you work on the big project for a long time, and the staleness, you can see it by not really either getting motivated to keep working on it, or you just lose your inspiration on that project. But then you can think, dude, but if I would work on this project now, just switching to that, I could do that and that and that. And this way, you can think about multiple projects that can give you different inspirations, different motivations, and just lets you so you can just how do you say it? It's just easier to keep going because multiple projects just give you different interests. For example, you have different topics you can tackle. For example, in one you practice a specific skill, in the other one you practice something else, and that way you always have something new, or something, you have like a mix of stuff you can work on, which just makes it more interesting in the long run than just working on one big project. That's at least what I do. I, for example, make a 30-minute sketch every day before I go over to my big project. And my big projects aren't that big. I had my biggest project yet was, I think, multiple months. I quit it at some point once I had like one big thing done, just because my ideas were too big to really implement, or were really feasible to really do in the time frame that I gave myself. So I just quit it and started new projects. So just having multiple projects can really help staying motivated, and maybe even giving you new inspiration for new projects. Maybe at some point you have no small projects anymore and you're working your big one, and then you see, dude, for example, if you make a character, for example, or make multiple characters for like an animation or something, you then see, dude, what if I combine these two characters, the traits they have, and make a new one? And then you have a small project again and you can work on that. So it's like an endless cycle of not only always having motivation by having multiple projects, but also just always having something interesting to work on, because you have multiple projects and different stuff you can do with them. Of course, if you always like kinda, I don't know, for example, sculpt trees, and at one point you sculpt a, I don't know, like a bonsai tree, and the next one's gonna be a, I don't know, a redwood tree. That may get stale, but I think if you focus on doing different stuff that interests you in these different projects, it can really help you in staying motivated and staying inspired. So what I'm looking for is a wood bark. There it is. 2K, please. Diffuse. Let's see if that works for my tree. So if you plug that in there, that should not work. Oh. Okay, just a single color. We have to use the mapping node. We put that to object. Now we can see some textures, they're pretty stretched. We can fix that by scaling it on the Z-axis. Can we? Wait, what? Is it rotated? No, it's not. Okay, well, let's try the other. Oh, there it is. But that's not really fixing it. Let's see, what does it look like in what does it look like in like that? Okay, that's better. Now we can see more. Okay, so what do we have here? So it's just stretched on a, but why is it like stretched in what happens if we rotate it? So for example, or what if we use generated? Okay, that's better. That's definitely better. We only need the front view, so that's not too bad actually. We could just leave it like that, I think. So now we can plug that in again. Now also we can use the other textures. Good thing is if you have one mapping texture set up or your mapping node set up, you can just plug that into every single map you add, and it'll be easier to work with that than just adding this mapping node over and over again. Next thing we'll add is the normal. We plug that in here using the bump. Nope, not bump. Normal, not this one. The normal map node. The UV map. And then we plug in the mapping. Does that work? I think so. It does. Yep, okay. Next up, let's see if that actually looks like how it's supposed to. Yeah, okay, it is. Nice. So next up, we need the roughness. So we get that. It is right there. We pull these up because we have a specularity map as well. Plug that in. Okay, one more, which is the specularity map. Right there, plug that in. Okay. Now, if you look at it from this camera, it's blurry anyway, so you shouldn't see. So it should work like that. We will also add some vines in there, some plants over the trees, so it looks some more like it's overgrown. Save that first. Now we can make the vines. I need my graphics tablet. Okay, hope that wasn't too loud. Just hit my desk with my tablet. So let's paint in some vines or some plants, some roots. So you can see I sculpted in some of those. What I'll do now is go in here and use a vertex color. Make a new layer. What I can do now is if we pull that down, I can paint in some color in there. What I'll do is go to vertex paint. It's white. You go to solid view. You can see it's fully white. What I will do now is use black to make a nice mask. So we grab black. Now if you paint in here, you can see I paint in black, and using that we can follow these sculpted roots, and we can make a mask. This mask we will then use for our color for the vines. And using a mask is just easier because if you use color, for example, if I would now paint the bark in brown, for example, first of all, I already have a color, the color map that I use, so that I would have to mix those somehow. And also, I want to have these vines pretty dynamically. Like I should be able to use these and change, for example, their color or their appearance, maybe add a bump map, and that's way easier to do if you use a mask, because the mask just tells you, okay, the black parts should be the root or vine material and the white parts is the bark. This way I can then say, okay, the material for the vines is green and has a certain roughness, has a certain bump map, for example, and that way I just have more control over the different parts, the individual parts. I not only have to keep the look of the bark, but I can also dynamically change the roots so they fit to my liking. So now I just paint in a nice mask, and once that's done, I can go over. Let's add some more, maybe some smaller ones, like that, just to add some more random stuff in here. Randomness is key in natural environments like this one. Okay, some more in here, like that. Looks good. Other side as well. Just randomly going over here and putting in some lines, and also following these big ones because they're already painted in, so why not use them how they're supposed to be used. Okay, in here as well. Like that. Make the big ones first, and then we can switch over to the smaller ones. Go in here. You know, I have more not the problem of not knowing what to do, but my problem is rather like wanting to do too much. So for example, I have like this small Minecraft speedrun video that I just wanted to put out today, but then I thought, dude, while editing it, I thought, dude, what if I add this and that and that? And this is probably gonna be a longer video than I anticipated first, so I think I'm still gonna make it more than I think, or that it was previously supposed to be. Just because it's not only like just a fun post then, because it's then also like a quality post, but I prefer more than just doing some joke posts, like video posts, for example. I think making like an actual interesting video out of my small speedrun session yesterday is first of all more interesting and also more recognizable. Okay, that's maybe make a big one in here, like that. A big vine. Okay, one in there as well. Okay, that should be good. We can then switch over to object and material preview. Now, as I said before, say first, just to be sure, I'm overly cautious now. We can use this vertex color by going into input, vertex color, and let's see, of course, we need to make a new material, and we use the vertex color, which looks like this. We use that by saying mix shader. These two shaders should be mixed, and this will be used as a mask. 0 means a factor of 0, so if we plug both in, you can see there it's like a mix between those two. So we have the bark texture, and mix in if this is this white shader, and this one, as you can see, is black and white. Black meaning the second shader is going to be used fully, white meaning the first shader is going to be used fully, if I remember correctly, which means right now it's 50-50. So if this would be a value of 0.5 overall, it would look like this. But now if I plug this in, you can see a nice clear distinction between the white and the brown. So actually white means the second shader and black means the first shader. So if I now just plug in a invert node, you can see I have the vines in white, which I now can adjust to how I want it to look like. So what I'll do is first go in here and change the color, of course. Actually, let's not do that. We can use a texture, which we'll use is a noise texture. Plug that in. Looks pretty weird in the beginning. You can't really see it. If I change it, you can see it. So what I mean by that is you can see it changes. We will increase the scale, also the detail. If you put up the roughness, you can't really see it anymore, so we leave it at 0.5. Maybe give it some more room to work with. Use a converter to bump up the black parts. And there you go. Now we can say, for example, white should be like a nice yellow-green, and black is more like a dark saturated, desaturated green, like that. And there we have some rudimentary wannabe vines. And now if you go to rendered view in this camera, you can see it looks pretty okay. Not too bad. That's all I wanted. Let's change these leaves. Actually, we can maybe even leave them how they are now. What I'll do is go into the camera, change it to passport 2 full, so we only see what we actually render in the end. What I want to change is the background. What we can add for that is just a nice image. So I save that, and I'll just pull up a nice Creative Commons image. Creative Commons meaning you can use them in anything. So if you go to, I think it's Creative Commons search, something like that, CC search. Yep, search.creativecommons.org. You then have a nice search bar. You can search stuff. Let's see, for forest. Let's search that, and then you have different tags. You can see, for example, CC0, which means you can use that for everything. And now we get some nice results. You can't see them, I think. So I'll just grab one of those, and then I'll show you what I grabbed. That should be a nice image. We can save that. Oh wait, that's the small image, right? Open a new tab. Is it the small one? Nope, we can use it. Save it in my Blender project. Textures. Textures. Yeah, textures. And now if we add a image as plain, we can add the horse texture. You can see it in the background. We go in here, go to the material preview. Maybe we can deactivate depth of field for now, just to position it correctly. Put it in the background behind everything. Make it bigger. Then find a good angle. We can very easily just add a nice background. Like that. That doesn't look too bad. Now if we go to rendered view, you can obviously see that it's fake. So what I'll do is first go in here and change the specularity to 0, which means there's no light reflecting from this plane, so it looks way better now. And I of course have to activate the depth of field again. Look at that. Doesn't look too bad. One thing I want to add is some leaf shadows on her. So it looks like she's between some leaves and it's actually like there's some shadow on her. So what I'll do is I might have to decrease the strength of my world lighting. So we can go in here, change the strength to maybe 0.5, maybe even 0.1. Okay, that looks good. What we can do now is we make a nice focus point in here using an empty. Oh my god, so many NURBS paths, so many curves. Too many curves. Call that empty light focus and make that smaller. Now if we add a light spotlight, we say follow track the light focus on the negative Z axis. You can see it follows the empty. So what we'll do is change the cone first, maybe like that. Change the blend maybe to 0.5, the intensity to actually we can use a sunlight. That looks pretty good. That's a 10. Okay, we could maybe make it a little bit yellow. Like that. And then what we'll do is we're gonna pull up another image. Let me pull that up real quick. You won't see it. We could, for example, look for leaves alpha. Let's see if we can find anything. Well, that's so I found something completely different. Oh, actually, let's look for leaves. Leaves texture, maybe. No. Okay, let's see. Leaves alpha. Just looking for a nice image that I can use for some nice shadows. All of it looks kind of weird. Not really what I'm looking for. Not really what I'm looking for. Maybe this one. Actually, we don't even need a texture. What we can do now is just go in here, make a new plane. Pull that up here. So now the whole light, all the light is blocked. But we could maybe even make it bigger so the whole scene is blocked. Like that. You can see it's way darker now. Save it first. And now we can go in here and give it a nice texture. Go into material preview. Into the object material, make a new one. We can use a Musgrave texture. That looks kind of leafy. If we change the scale, for example, and maybe the detail, dimension, like that, maybe it looks pretty good. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we can plug that in there. We use a shader, mix shader, not this one. We use a mix shader. Combine the principled BSDF with a transparent BSDF. If we use the transparency, it's fully transparent. If we use the principled BSDF, it blocks all light. So now we use the Musgrave as our mask, and changing the shape will result in some interesting, as you can see, some nice shadows. So we can change them. This one, maybe, let's see, what else can we do? What happens if we change that? The setting, I guess. That's not really fitting. FBM is the one we had before. Let's use FBM. Excuse me. But what we can do now is use a color ramp, good old color ramp. Let's use it 4D. We have another W value now that you can just change, which is similar to a seed and just gives you a new image. This way we can change the lighting that's going to hit her. We can make these... Oh, of course. Now we can make the edges a little bit sharper. I don't want to have less white, or yeah, less white and more black. I want to keep it like that. Let's plug that in. What we can do now is change this value, this W value. We can use a... Wait, can we... Oh, we can actually just change it like that. Let's look for a nice lighting. Oh, that looks pretty cool actually. 308. Let's change that to a nice 3. Okay, we lost it. We can look some more. Oh, there it is again. Almost. Oh, that looks good. Let's keep that. Okay. And as you can see, the lighting looks way more interesting now than just this plane. If we remove this. Pretty boring. Adding just this plane and adding these shadows with these leaf shadows basically adds a little bit more magic into it. So I think the last few things we have to change is actually her, and maybe add some things in the foreground. So we can do that first. What we can do is first, this one can maybe be a bounce viewport display, so we don't just get, like, if it blocks our view, that's so annoying. So we just put it to bounce. Let's see, we could add some pedals. So what we can do is just make a plane, make it smaller. We can then apply a subdivision modifier. Go in here, scale that so it's like an actual pedal. We can make it, cut it in the middle. We then pull out the middle part and pull the sides upwards. This way you can get this nice shape. What I have as well is this upwards shape, like that. That looks pretty good. Make it smooth. And then what we can do, we can go in here, make a new material, call it pedal. And to give it different colors, we can make it, we can use a little trick, which is, we can use this, for example. We can make a color just RGB curves, for example. We can give it a different color, for example, just a red. And then we can use the hue saturation plug that in there. And then we can change the hue. Let's switch to material preview. It's already there. Right now it's red. But now, if we use the object info, you have this random value. If you plug that into the hue value, you can see it changes color. And now if we just duplicate that, you can see it always changes colors if you make a new one. But let's see. I mean, we could also just use this for the value. So we have the same color but in different values. I think that's better. Having these randomly colored petals look kind of weird. So we'll just do that. So now we can just use this, make it smaller. We could also rotate it so it's actually lying, not like flowing on this small edge. Like that. Maybe give it some thickness as well. We still have to change the material a bit. Put it to a solidify modifier. That looks good. Then we change the roughness. Make it pretty reflective. Not too reflective. Specularity can be pretty high. Transmission, we can increase that a bit. That's too much. Maybe just say 0.3. Just say a little bit of transmission. Maybe that's even too much. 0.1. Okay. Subsurface scattering. I don't think we need that. Actually, let's use subsurface scattering instead of transmission. Put that maybe to 0.1. It's white. We need to switch it to a nice red. Subsurface radius. Put that to all to 1. Okay. And now we can add that to the scene. We can activate this snapping tool. The way that works is you can decide that what I decide is that the object, the anchor point, should snap to the face, the surface basically of an object. And project individual elements just means that, for example, if I go into the edit mode, that all these single points, vertices for example, snap to the surface. If I have that unchecked, the project individual elements, it won't do that. So I'll check that if I need it. So now we can duplicate that, for example, and place that in the scene. That's way too big, so we can make it smaller. Maybe we can change the color, it's pretty intense. More like that. Okay. Add a few petals and then that should be enough. Okay. Like that. Okay. Let's see. I think the biggest change we can do now is actually, I think I want to stay closer to the original image. So what I'll do is I'll remove the petals again. I think they just add a little bit more to the scene that I want. So removing those will keep the attention on the subject itself. Now, save it. And let's do the hair first. We can basically decide which color the hair should be. Because in the image, of course, there's no color. We could leave it white. Ooh, I have an idea. So I could make this more like a night scene by going into the world settings. Maybe make this a bright blue. Like that, and then change the world settings. So last time I changed these settings, everything crashed. So let's make sure this doesn't happen again by, for example, removing all the hair or hiding it. Also, we don't need her necessarily, so we can hide her. Oh, the eyes. Okay, let's just leave her in the scene. What will it do though? Switch to rendered. And then disable. Let's just plug that in. So we can see what the color looks from the environment. And now we can, let's see if a hue and saturation node works. We just change that to a more dark blue. Purple looks kind of weird. Maybe this one. Make it darker. Like that. Saturation can go down. Okay, let's see. Wait, it's still pretty. I think we have to change the strength. It's really weak right now. But higher. But it's let's not use that. Let's use a color ramp. Save it first. And we can... Wait, where's my environment? Oh. Okay, now it's white. We should maybe remove the sunlight first so we can work with the environment light. Okay. So now if I put that to 0, you should see nothing. Wait, what? Where's the light coming from? Is there any other light sources in this scene? Is this shining? No. What is shining? What is emitting light? This one? Shouldn't be. Spotlight is off. Where's the light coming from? Wait, what? Wait, that's... Oh, hello, what is this? Why are you here? Please remove yourself. Okay. Go to the world. Change the strength to 1. Okay. We need to change the color. Make that more like a night setting. Because I have something interesting I want to test. Okay, make this... Actually, let's change these two. Like that, and then we can change this to a... more like this color. And that looks more like a night setting. We could maybe make it even darker. because we still have to implement the sunlight. Still want to use that, but that's probably gonna not be a sunlight now. It's gonna be a moonlight. So we go to the sunlight settings, not the spotlight. Is that a spotlight? No, it's a sunlight. Okay, and change the intensity. Okay. That looks pretty good. More like a night setting. Maybe even put that to 0.5. That's not enough, I think. So we could also change the angle. That will only wash out the shadows. So we leave it at 0.5, I think it was. Put that to 1. Okay, that looks good. Save it. We can do a test render real quick to see what it looks like. So we go into render. We don't need that many renders, samples. Put that to 50%, make a quick test render. And then we can check if everything's going the right way. Render result and render. So yeah, so that was my first experience doing or talking while working. It was quite interesting. I learned a lot, although it wasn't really that long. What I'll do differently next time is definitely I'm gonna prepare some notes and use those to what? Why is it to actually have like a red string to go with, so I'm not just rambling about stuff, but I actually have like a whole topic I talk about. So do I have like something disabled in the render? It's not displaced. Or is it not displaced like in this image? There's something else I was hiding, cylinder? No. Wait, what? There's something. Okay, what is it? What is it? What is it? Something is trolling me. Render. Oh, I think you need to increase that to 6. Now it should work. Let's do that again. Now it should work. It didn't have enough geometry. That's why it didn't work. Yeah, so next time, tomorrow, I'm gonna have some notes. I think it just takes time talking while working. So doing that now gonna prepare me and just gonna give me more experience in that field, which is gonna make it easier and easier. I think one thing I forgot to disable is to hide the emitter of the hair in the render. So let's do that. That's a good thing we checked that. We have to go in here into the render show emitter off, and let's do it one more time. So save it and render it once more, and then we can look at it. Probably gonna do like half an hour more, and then I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna implement some 3D scenes in my Minecraft speedrun. Some renders. Gonna see how that looks. Got inspired by some music. I wanna put in the video. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So let me show you what I wanted to do. Go to 3D viewport and go to rendered view. What I want to do, go in here. Let me remove her head first, so we only see the eyes. Also remove the eyelashes. I only want to see the eyes. We can also no, we can't. Can we go in here? We can't, okay. So let's go into the material settings for the eyes. Texture transmission, we don't need that. We need the diffuse. So let's see what the diffuse looks like. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I want to switch to the second material, which is the iris. Diffuse. Oh. Okay. We can now change it to how I want it to look like. We don't need that, but I'll just leave it in here. That's basically the procedural creation of the eye texture. I created it procedural first and then baked it into textures. Baking is basically just saving the procedural texture into a texture image. First it was just calculated. Procedural means just mathematically calculated, all these shapes and textures and all that, and then you can bake them to get a nice texture map. So eye texture diffuse. We can now go in here, change the viewer, texture emission, plug that in there, plug in the texture, change the color using a color ramp. We can make this a nice bright blue. Okay. Also change the strength to something higher, maybe 5, maybe even more, maybe 10. Really glowing. Oh. We can keep it like that. Maybe we can add a second one. Just to give it some more structure. Like that. Also, let's see what that looks like if we just... Come on. Okay. We add a new color right there. Switch that to white. You can actually see it though. Let's see. When does it show up? Show me white. Where is it? Need to see it. It's not showing up. Is it still too far? Over there? It's just not it's just not happening. Okay, well, I guess not then. Let's just remove that, pull that over here again. Okay, that looks good. Now we go over to the outside part of the eye. Go to the diffuse color and make that darker. Using a color ramp again. First it's black and white, but then we can change it to a more darker color. Like that. Is that the diffuse color? Okay, it is, okay. So, transmission is still there. Looks good. But what I see is that the color in here changed the strength of the emission, which is not really what I want. Maybe if we go into here, make a new color ramp, put that in there. we can now increase the light part. Well, doesn't really help. Okay. What we could do though is not plug that in there, but make a new shader mix between this principal BSDF and a transparency. Sometimes the different settings in here aren't as strong as if you would just use a new node. For example, the emission is not as strong in the principal BSDF as it is in the emission node or using the emission node. So plugging that in there should make it pretty strong. Okay, now we have a dark eye and also glowing eyes. So now if you put back her head, you can see some nice glowing eyes and black eyeballs. So let's save that. Let's bring back her hair. There it is. It could even stay white. It fits pretty well. What I'll do though is make it pretty reflective. They need a material anyway. Call it hair. And base color can stay white. Roughness can be pretty low, maybe 0.1. Specularity can be pretty high, 0.75. So now what we have to do is we have here NURBS path 8 selected. So we select all the other ones, or all of them first, and then once that's done, we can select NURBS path 8 again, highlight it. Oh, wait, what? We select NURBS path 8 and Control L, link materials. Now everything should be shiny. Let's see. Looks pretty good. Save it. Maybe even more shiny if we increase the roughness. Yeah. Let's see if we can work with some textures. So we can go in here, maybe use a noise texture. Looks kind of weird. Use mapping, maybe switch the texture coordinate to UV. Oh. Let's see if we can give those hairs some more detail. You can already see that they have more detail. If we change the scale. Oh. Hello. Okay. We could maybe scale it. Z does nothing. Y. Ooh. X. There it is. Nice. Now we can actually put in some more hair strands. Look at that. That looks pretty good. We can now make the gray parts darker using a color ramp. Make it darker. And we have some more structure in there. Perfect. We can also use this as a bump map. So what I mean is we just use that. Go in here, use a bump node, plug that into the normals plug. Use the socket, use the color plug, put that into the hide socket. And as you can see, more detail. Nice. Perfect. Save that. And the last thing, let's see what she looks like with lighter skin, or if she can keep this darker tone. Let's see. White looks pretty white doesn't really fit with the whole tone. Maybe a nice black. If we add white eyebrows, it could work. With some post-production, maybe increase the strength of the sun lamp. Like that. Also give her some makeup. Oh, she has no eyelashes. There. Save that. Also adding some atmosphere, some particles and all that will just give it some more interesting aspects to it. So let's save that, render it once more. Come on. Oh, there it is. Wrong hotkey. Okay, let's see. I'm probably also gonna add some wetness to her face, so it actually looks like she's in the water. I'm gonna add some makeup, and yeah, she's pretty what do you call it? Her roughness overall in the whole face is pretty similar. So what I'll do is make some roughness maps, or one roughness map to change that up, make it more interesting and more natural looking. But I think we're at a spot which is a nice spot to call it for today. We're almost done. I think this look looks pretty cool. So next time we will finish this look, go into post-production, giving her all the stuff I mentioned before, some different maps, some different makeup, and yeah, that's about it. And then this project's done. So save that, and that's gonna be it for today. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a nice rest of your day. Of course, you can always check out my YouTube videos. I think I have now 2. I'll add a few more this week. One of them is a Minecraft speedrun in Blender. The other one is gonna be a simple tutorial, like a Blender tutorial for beginners. And I don't think I'm gonna upload this first talk, just because it was kind of like unstructured and not really that interesting, I think. So I'll probably do another one tomorrow, and then hopefully that'll be better or more structured. So as I said before, I hope you had a nice day here. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow. So